My name is Rebecca Manning, I'm 52 years old, and on November 14, 2024, I died and met Jesus face to face. In those moments, Jesus showed me the 6 terrifying questions he'll ask everyone on Judgment Day, and it completely changed everything I thought I knew about God, faith, and the afterlife itself. But before we start, please let me know where you're listening from. It will be nice to feel closer, even if we're physically apart. Also, don't forget to like and comment on what you thought about this near-death experience testimony. Let's have a fair and open discussion so we can learn from each other on this channel. Enjoy listening. I grew up in a middle-class Christian family in Pennsylvania, went to church every Sunday, and did everything a good believer should. I married my husband David at 26, raised 3 children, and worked as a nurse, believing I was living out my calling. My life was filled with church, Bible studies, and prayer, and I truly thought I knew God, but until the day I died and met Jesus, I had no idea how little I really understood. The day it happened was ordinary. I was working a shift in the cardiac unit. Around 2 p.m., I started feeling strange. At first, it was just a tightness in my chest. I thought maybe I had eaten something that disagreed with me. But then the pain got worse. It spread down my left arm. I knew exactly what was happening because I had seen it hundreds of times in my patients. I was having a heart attack. I called out to my colleague, but my voice came out weak. The last thing I remember in that hallway was reaching for the wall to steady myself, and then everything just stopped. The pain vanished. The noise of the hospital disappeared, and I felt myself lifting up and away from my body. I looked down and saw myself collapsed on the floor. I saw nurses rushing toward me, including my friend Jennifer, who was screaming for help. I saw them start CPR. I saw the crash cart being wheeled over, but I felt completely detached from it all. There was no panic, no fear, just a strange calm. Then I felt movement. Not physical movement, but something else. Like I was being drawn toward something. The hospital faded away, and I found myself in a space that I cannot fully describe with human words. It was not a physical place with walls or ground. It was more like being suspended in pure peace. The closest I can come to explaining it is that it felt like being held in the palm of God's hand. That is when I saw him. Jesus appeared as a figure of brilliant light. But it was not harsh or blinding. It was warm and inviting. I could see a form, a human shape, but the light that came from him was alive. It moved and pulsed with colors I had never seen on earth. And his face, I cannot describe it adequately. It was both familiar and completely beyond anything I had known. His eyes held infinite love and infinite knowledge. The moment I saw him, I knew who he was. There was no introduction needed. My soul recognized him instantly. And in that same instant, I felt completely exposed. Every thought I had ever had, every action I had ever taken, every secret I had ever kept, it was all visible to him. And yet, instead of feeling ashamed, I felt loved. Truly loved for the first time in my entire existence. He spoke to me, but not with a voice that I heard with ears. His words formed directly in my spirit. He said, "Rebecca, welcome. You are home now. Be still and know that I am God." Those last words reminded me of Psalm 46 verse 10, a verse I had read countless times but never truly understood until that moment. I do not know how long we stood there in that peace. Time did not work the same way. It could have been seconds or hours. But eventually, he looked at me with such tenderness and said, "I have questions for you, my daughter. These are the questions I ask of every soul that comes before me. Not to condemn, but to teach. Not to punish, but to help you see." I felt a tremor of fear then. Questions meant evaluation. Evaluation meant the possibility of failure. He must have sensed my fear because he reached out, and though he did not physically touch me, I felt surrounded by comfort. "Do not be afraid," he said. "Perfect love casts out fear." That is written in 1 John 4 verse 18. Let me show you what perfect love means. Then he asked the first question. "Rebecca, did you let me love you?" I started to answer the way I had been taught. "Yes, Lord. I believed in you. I went to church. I prayed every day. I read my Bible. I try to live according to your word." He did not interrupt me, but he showed me something. It was like watching scenes from my life, but I was experiencing them again with a new awareness. I saw myself praying in the morning before work. I was asking God for patience with difficult patients, for wisdom in my decisions, for protection over my family. But I saw that the whole time I was talking at God, not with Him. My heart was closed. I was presenting my list of needs and worries, but I never stopped to simply receive. He showed me a time about 6 months before my death when I had made a terrible mistake at work. I had given a patient the wrong dosage of medication. Thankfully, another nurse caught it before any harm was done, but I was devastated. I spent days drowning in guilt and shame. I prayed and asked God to forgive me, but I never actually believed He did. I carried that shame around like a weight on my shoulders. Jesus showed me that during those days of shame, He was right there with me. His love was pouring toward me like a waterfall, but I had my hands up blocking it. I was so focused on my unworthiness that I could not receive His forgiveness. I was trying to earn His love through my guilt and self-punishment instead of simply accepting that it was already mine. "My child," He said, "I paid the price for every mistake you would ever make on the cross. It is finished," as I said in John 19 verse 30. But you never let that truth reach your heart. You believed in the cross with your mind, but you did not let it heal your heart. I saw so many other moments. Times when I was too busy to sit in His presence. Times when I was so consumed with doing good works that I never stopped to simply be loved by Him. Times when I felt distant from God, but it was because I had built walls around my heart without even realizing it. I began to weep. "No," I said. "I did not let you love me. I did not know I was supposed to just receive. I thought I had to earn it." His presence wrapped around me with such grace. This is what I meant when I said in Matthew 11 verse 28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." You were always trying to carry burdens I wanted to carry for you. You were always trying to prove yourself worthy of a love I gave freely. Then He looked at me again, and I felt Him going deeper into my soul. The second question, "Rebecca, did you see me in the people around you?" Again, I wanted to give the right answer. I tried to be kind to everyone, Lord. I was a nurse. I cared for people every day. I volunteered at church. I helped my neighbors. He did not argue, but He showed me the truth behind my actions. He showed me a man who came into the emergency room one night. He was homeless, intoxicated, and belligerent. I remember treating him with professional courtesy, but in my heart, I was disgusted. I thought he was wasting our time and resources. I did the minimum required and then moved on to other patients I deemed more deserving. Jesus showed me that man again, but this time He let me see what He saw. He showed me the divine spark inside that man's chest, the same spark that was inside me. He showed me the man's childhood, the abuse he suffered, the trauma that led to his addiction. He showed me that man's prayers, the desperate cries for help that he did not even know how to articulate. And then Jesus said something that broke me. "When you refused to see me in him, you refused me." Matthew 25 verse 40 says, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Do you understand now? I was that homeless man. I was there in his pain, in his need, asking you to love me through him. He showed me more. My daughter Emma had gone through a difficult phase when she was 15. She was angry, rebellious, and said hurtful things. I remember the fights we had. I remember thinking she was being disrespectful and ungrateful. But Jesus showed me those moments from a different angle. He showed me that Emma was crying out for connection, for understanding, for unconditional love. And I had met her pain with judgment and frustration. "I was in your daughter's anger," Jesus said. "I was asking you to love me through her. But you could not see past her behavior." He showed me my co-worker Tom, who complained constantly about everything at work. I would avoid him in the break room because I found him exhausting. Jesus showed me that Tom's complaints came from deep insecurity and loneliness. He was asking for friendship, for someone to truly listen. And I had dismissed him as annoying. He showed me the difficult patients, the demanding family members, the people who cut me off in traffic, the cashier who was rude to me at the grocery store. In every single person I had found irritating or unworthy of my attention, Jesus was there. He was hiding in plain sight, asking me to love him by loving them. In John 13 verse 34, "I gave you a new commandment," Jesus said. "Love one another as I have loved you." But you loved people based on whether they earned it, whether they were pleasant, whether they made your life easier. That is not how I love. I love the unlovable. I love the broken. I love the ones who hurt me. And I was asking you to do the same. I was sobbing now. I failed, I said. I did not see you. I judged them instead. "My daughter," he said with such compassion, "this is why I came to earth as a human, to show you how to see God in humanity, even in the worst of humanity. I ate with tax collectors and sinners. I touched lepers. I forgave the woman caught in adultery. I showed you the way, but the world taught you differently." Then came the third question, and his voice became even softer. "What did you do with your pain, Rebecca? What did you do with the wounds I allowed in your life?" I did not understand at first. He showed me the deepest wound of my life. When I was 16, I was assaulted by someone I trusted. I never told anyone the full story. I buried it deep inside and tried to forget it ever happened. For decades, I carried that secret shame, that violation, that brokenness. Jesus showed me that wound, and I felt the pain of it all over again. But then he said something that stunned me. This wound was meant to be a gift. A gift. I said, almost angry. How could that be a gift? "Look," he said, and he showed me a young woman who came to the hospital 2 years ago. She had been raped and was in the emergency room getting treated. I was her nurse. I remember cleaning her wounds and processing her paperwork, but I kept my emotional distance. I was professional, kind, but distant. Jesus showed me that moment again. You could have told her that you understood. You could have shared your story. You could have used your pain to build a bridge to her heart. You could have given her the hope that she would survive this, because you survived it. But you kept your wound locked away. He showed me other moments. A friend who went through a divorce. I had gone through a difficult period in my own marriage years ago when David and I almost separated, but we worked through it. When my friend was suffering, I offered generic encouragement, but I never told her about my own struggle. I never let my pain become medicine for hers. Your wounds are not meant to destroy you, Jesus said. They are meant to be transformed. Romans 8 verse 28 says that I work all things together for good for those who love me. All things, Rebecca. Even the worst things that happen to you. But you have to be willing to let me use them. He showed me how my assault had given me a deep compassion for the vulnerable, but I had never fully activated that compassion. He showed me how my marital struggles had taught me about forgiveness and perseverance, but I had kept that wisdom to myself. He showed me how every painful moment in my life was meant to be a tool, a gift, a way to connect with others who were suffering in the same way. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4 says that I comfort you in all your troubles so that you can comfort others, Jesus said. But you saw your wounds as something to hide, something to be ashamed of. I wanted to turn them into your greatest strength, but you would not let me. I felt completely undone. I had failed all 3 questions. I wept harder than I had ever wept in my life. Then he asked the 4th question. Did you forgive those who hurt you? I looked up at him. I thought about the person who assaulted me. I had never forgiven him. I had buried the anger and hatred along with the memory. I thought not thinking about it was the same as healing, but it was not. The unforgiveness had lived inside me like poison for 36 years. Jesus showed me that unforgiveness was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. He showed me how it had affected my relationships, my ability to trust, my ability to fully love even my own husband. He showed me that by refusing to forgive, I was still giving my attacker power over my life. In Matthew 6 verses 14 to 15, I taught that if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will forgive you, Jesus said. But if you do not forgive others, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. This is not because my Father is cruel, but because unforgiveness blocks the flow of grace. It builds walls that keep love out. I thought about other people I had not forgiven. My mother, who had been critical and controlling when I was growing up. A former friend who had betrayed my confidence. A church leader who had hurt me with careless words. I had held on to those grudges for years, some of them for decades. I did not forgive them, I admitted. I thought I was protecting myself by holding on to the anger. But you were only imprisoning yourself, Jesus said gently. Then came the fifth question, and this one cut even deeper. Did you forgive yourself? I stared at him. Forgive myself? For what? But as soon as he asked the question, memories flooded my mind. The abortion I had when I was 20, before I got married. I had carried the guilt and shame of that decision my entire life. The times I had been impatient and harsh with my children when they were young. The ways I had failed as a wife, as a mother, as a nurse, as a daughter. The endless list of my inadequacies and mistakes. I confessed these things to you, I said. I asked for forgiveness. Yes, he said. And I forgave you instantly. But you never forgave yourself. You carried the guilt as if I had not died for those very sins. You did not trust that my sacrifice was enough. He showed me how my inability to forgive myself had affected everything. It made me harsh and judgmental toward others, because I was harsh and judgmental toward myself. It made me unable to fully receive his love, because I did not believe I deserved it. It made me try to earn my salvation through good works instead of resting in his grace. 1 John 1 verse 9 says that if you confess your sins, I am faithful and just to forgive you and cleanse you from all unrighteousness, Jesus said. All unrighteousness, Rebecca. Not most of it. Not the small sins. All of it. But you have to accept that forgiveness. You have to let yourself be cleansed. I broke down completely. I have been so hard on myself, I sobbed. I never knew. I know, he said with infinite tenderness. That is why I am telling you now. Then came the sixth and final question. His voice became both serious and loving at the same time. Did you use what I gave you, or did you bury it? I did not understand. What did you give me? He showed me my life from the beginning. He showed me the gifts, talents, and opportunities he had placed in my path. I saw that I had a gift for writing. When I was younger, I used to write poetry and short stories. But somewhere along the way, I stopped. I told myself I did not have time. I told myself it was not practical. I buried that gift. He showed me that I had a deep intuition, a spiritual sensitivity that could have been developed. But I ignored it because I was afraid of seeming weird or too spiritual. I buried that gift too. He showed me opportunities to speak up for others who were being mistreated, but I stayed silent because I did not want to cause conflict. He showed me chances to be generous with my resources, but I held back out of fear that I would not have enough for myself. In Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30, I told the parable of the talents, Jesus said. I gave each person according to their ability, and I expected them to use what they were given. The ones who invested their talents were rewarded. But the one who buried his talent out of fear was judged harshly. Not because he failed, but because he did not even try. He showed me how fear had governed so many of my decisions. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And that fear had caused me to play it safe, to bury the gifts he had given me, to live a smaller life than he had intended. I gave you gifts to glorify me and to bless others, Jesus said. But you kept them hidden. You lived as if the resources I gave you were yours to hoard instead of mine to distribute through you. I felt the weight of every wasted opportunity, every silenced voice, every buried dream. I was afraid, I whispered. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 says that I did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, Jesus said. The fear was not from me, but you listened to it anyway. I stood there before him, completely broken. I had failed all 6 questions. Not partially, completely. I had not let him love me. I had not seen him in others. I had wasted my wounds. I had not forgiven others or myself. And I had buried the gifts he gave me. I expected him to turn me away. I expected him to tell me I had failed the test and that I could not enter heaven. But instead, he pulled me into an embrace that I can only describe as being wrapped in pure love. My precious daughter, he said, these questions are not to condemn you. They are to awaken you. I am not showing you these things to make you feel like a failure. I am showing you so that you can truly understand what love looks like. Now you know. Now you see. I clung to him and cried. I do not want to leave you, I said. Please let me stay. Your time is not finished, he said. You have to go back. Your family needs you. The world needs you. You have seen the truth now. Go and live it. Go and love the way I have shown you. Go and answer these questions with your life. But how? I asked desperately. How do I do this? You start by receiving my love right now, he said. You start by forgiving yourself and others. You start by looking for me in every face you meet. You start by letting your wounds become your ministry. You start by using what I have given you. You start today. Then I felt that pull again, backward, away from him. I tried to hold on, but I could not. His light began to fade. The peace began to slip away. And then the pain came rushing back. I gasped and opened my eyes to chaos. I was in the hospital hallway. There was a defibrillator on my chest. Jennifer was crying. Other nurses were standing around looking stunned. Someone said, "She is back. Oh my God, she is back." They told me later that I had been clinically dead for 14 minutes. They said there was no medical explanation for why I survived or why I had no brain damage. They called it a miracle, and I suppose it was. It has been 8 months since that day. I am still here, still living in the same house, still married to David, still working as a nurse. But everything is different now. I know what I have to do. I have to live the answers to those 6 questions. Every day I practice receiving his love instead of trying to earn it. Every day I look for Jesus in the face of every person I meet, especially the difficult ones. Every day I am learning to use my pain to help others instead of hiding it. I have forgiven the people who hurt me, and I am learning to forgive myself. And I am using the gifts he gave me, including finally sharing this story. These 6 questions are not just for me. They are for you too. Jesus wants you to know them now, while you are still alive, so that you do not have to learn them the hard way like I did. Let him love you. See him in others. Use your wounds for good. Forgive everyone, including yourself. And use what he has given you. Do not wait until you die to start truly living.